best that they can be for their own children.
I've seen in the papers that you've attended several of these rallies recently, brought together by parents and other concerned citizens looking for answers. Some people are tempted to say that let's hire more police officers. That's the answer. And obviously, that's not the only answer in your eyes.
Yes, in the school system, we are a growing metropolitan area, and we're going to have to eventually get more patrolmen in the school system. We're going to need school patrolmen. It's no doubt about that. And there are many men and women out on the street looking for work. And this is one way of getting jobs for them, by making them patrolmen, training them. But one thing I've observed is that even our present police force, there seems to me there has to be much more training done for them. There are too many things happening where they're in shock. I think our policemen should become more ready to see ahead of time what's going to happen, anticipate the problem. It indicates to me there needs to be more training, although many are proficient police officers that we have, and we're losing them because of lack of funds. The surrounding areas are paying them more money, and we lose the best officers that we have in the city of Birmingham.
Let's move on to other topics. I want to ask you about the state of city government now as far as responsiveness. City government is often criticized for fussing and feuding and controversy at City Hall, and oftentimes losing sight of the voter and being responsive to the voter's needs. How do you see that?
I concur with the citizens. The citizens are saying the same thing all over Birmingham. They recognize that they are not being represented. We have too many career politicians, just concerned about their own futures as career politicians. And certainly when we become more concerned about the citizenry, which is what I intend to do as mayor, I intend to put my goals in the background and represent the people. And this is what I believe is the problem, and many citizens recognize the same thing.
I mentioned at the outset that you're the only woman in the race. You think that's going to be a factor that will play in your favor? You think Birmingham's ready for a lady mayor?
Well, I should hope so. I don't know if you're aware of it, but 70% of the homes in Birmingham are headed by females. And, of course, many of them are African Americans. Some African American women say that they feel they would be best represented by a female who would pretty much feel what they are going through with a lack of support, many of them who are raising their children alone. And certainly, if all can see that, if the majority of the females can recognize that I will represent and speak the sentiments of their hearts, they will get out and vote and not be hoodwinked and brainwashed to believe that a female can't represent them.
You've been exhaustively campaigning out on the streets of Birmingham. What are you hearing? What are the voters telling you that is most important to them in this election?
Basically jobs, particularly in the high crime, poverty-stricken areas where illiteracy is on the rampage. They're saying to me, will you provide jobs? We're willing to be trained. We don't want trees. We want gainful employment. They're saying some of the men who stand on the corners and can certainly become high risk criminals, they say to me, will you give us opportunities for gainful employment, because we can't make a living with summer jobs. We need income year-round, and we want career. This is another thing that I hear many business owners say, well, we have jobs, but there are men and women who are saying, I want a future. I want a career. I just don't want labor, but I want something to look forward to know that I can advance in a company and I can grow with that company and move up the corporate ladder. And they deserve that right. They have that right, and I intend to enforce that as mayor of the city of Birmingham.
Based on what you're hearing as well, do you think that there's an atmosphere for change as far as the mayor's office is concerned? Are folks ready for a change, do you think?
Well, some people recognize we must make a change, and I tell you, Don, to be serious, it's been difficult for me because of a lack of funds to really get that message out there. But in the next few weeks, if I can bring that home to them, that I will make that change and convince them that I won't deceive them, believe me, there will be a change. We're all looking forward to the 21st century. We know we can't go into the 21st century with an outdated plan. We've got to prepare for the future. And but in order to convince those who are hurting that I can do that. I'm going to have to get more funds than I have, and that's the only dilemma right now I see. If I can get what I need to get to them, to reach them, they will make that difference. They will make Birmingham anew. I can be mayor, and we will certainly become a more progressive city, and one that will be the best city for all of Birmingham citizens.
And the time that's left before Election Day, what's your primary message to voters?
My message to voters is that I'm willing to represent all of the people of Birmingham. We deserve the best here in Birmingham, and we can not only be a magic city, but Birmingham has the potential to be a model city, and I believe the world is looking for what we have to offer, and as your mayor, I intend to make it happen.
Okay, so go to the polls. Tuesday, October the 10th.
That's right.
Is Election Day, and I know you'll be casting your ballot and hope that a lot of others will do as well.
Exactly right.
It's a pleasure to meet you, and we wish you much success
Thank you, Tom.
in the
You're so
campaign
kind.
as we go along. Patricia Bell, candidate for mayor of the city of Birmingham, thank you very much for joining us today. Our next mayoral candidate in our special hour-long edition of Perspective today is Mr. Perry Grant. Mr. Grant, welcome into the studios.
Hey, thanks so much.
Want to start out, as we did with Ms. Bell before you, with an introduction. Tell the folks who you are.
Sure. My name's Perry Grant. I am 40 years old. I work for the Hanover Insurance Company. I am the territory marketing manager for them, which means I handle the state of Alabama for the Hanover. They were nice enough to let me run and keep my job, which is,
yes,
of course, interesting. That's very nice. I'm involved with Cub Scouts. I'm a Sunday school teacher, and I'm lay leader of the Irondale United Methodist Church this year. I'm very proud of those extracurricular activities, and keeps me going.
Mm-hmm. What brings you into the mayor's race?
Well, I've lived in Birmingham for 17 years. I moved here right after I graduated college in 1977. Since then, I've seen the town drop by 20,000 people. I've seen crime continue to increase and be a problem for everyone. I've seen the quality of education decline, and I've seen us listed 298th out of 300 as far as livability. I'm running for mayor because I love the town and I want to be part of the solution.
Mm-hmm. Is this your first foray into politics?
It absolutely is, which I think is a breath of fresh air in this town. So we're going to try it. We're going to try it for the right reasons.
Well, how has it been so far, being on the campaign trail, politicking, as they say? Is it everything you would have thought?
Well, challenger campaigns are tough just because you don't have a base. People look at you maybe as the guy's got no chance to win type thing. So it's tough to maybe break into some of the financial circles that some of the other guys have maybe had a little bit better time. But the message is getting out, and the people like our common sense approach to the problems of Birmingham, and they like our ideas as far as how we want to fix it.
Mm-hmm. You bring up a point that Ms. Bell brought up before you, and that's entering the race as a relative unknown in the political arena. Do you think that's going to be a problem for you at all?
Well, I don't think it will be. When people look at our platform and they look at the ideas, it's something they can grab hold to. Mm-hmm. So, no, I don't think that'll be a problem, even though, it's tough when somebody's got a $400,000 head start, so to speak.
Okay, let's focus in on some of those issues you mentioned. First,
Sure.
crime. That seems to be a central theme during this election, and well, it should be, because every day in the news we're hearing some new crime story. It seems to be getting out of hand. What are your thoughts?
Well, it really does. Let me basically say crime is my number one issue, and it always has been. We want to rejuvenate downtown, but when my committee and I were meeting a few weeks ago about rejuvenating downtown, it all came back to crime and the fact that people are afraid to go downtown at night. People don't want to live downtown. People are working within 2 blocks of City Hall, and they're afraid to walk to the parking decks at the end of the day. So these are problems that must be addressed and must be attempted to be solved before we can work on downtown. So, Civic Center is downtown. People are booking things on the outskirts of town instead of downtown for obvious reasons, and so these are areas we have to fix. My platform, frankly, includes anything from giving the police chief measurable goals to reach, just like you would in business, to filling out the police force with the suggested number of cops, giving the cops rate increases, or I may beg your pardon, pay increases, to get them at a level that the Birmingham doesn't train the officers and then they move over the mountain for $1,000 or $2. So, we've got to do that. I also want to involve the citizens because the policemen cannot do it by themselves. I'm looking at citizens patrols, which would be, 2 men with a cellular phone roaming their neighborhoods for a couple of hours a month. We have several people involved, of course, but, if somebody sees some trouble, they call in on 911 and they wait on the officers. They do not intervene themselves. So, it's just a way that the citizens can help take control back of their neighborhoods. I want to put in a drug and gang hotline number. So if you see drug activity on your block, you can call in. We'll sneak a team out there to videotape it, and after we've taped it a couple of times, we'll go make the arrest. So, again, the citizens have to be willing to help out a little bit, too, if they want these things cleaned up.
You've been out on the campaign trail. Do they seem willing?
They do seem willing. I mean, crime and education and Max are the top issues, it seems like, this time. And, my ideas on crime are well known, I think, by now. And so, we're getting some response. Okay,
education sort of works hand in hand with combating crime, so to speak. What's important as far as education?
Well, education is very important. The mayor's got to be the visionary leader of this town as far as education goes. If the mayor wants to rejuvenate downtown, he's got to keep the test scores up so that industry and businesses want to move to your town and want to put their people in your school system. Right now, the test scores are awful. The mayor's had a hands-off approach on that, and so, that just won't work. So my platform on education is multifaceted. I want to, frankly, expect more out of the students. I want to expect more out of the teachers. I want to require some courses to maybe get the kids into the 21st century, such as computer keyboarding or Spanish or Japanese, which would help with international trade. So, those are some areas that maybe haven't been looked at before, but we've got to consider that. Right now, we almost go into meetings with blank sheets of paper and just come out with ideas. So, there are any number of things we can do with education. But see, another thing, getting back to the crime issue, of course, is the safety of the kids. If the kids are scared to go to school because somebody's got a gun, their minds aren't free to learn. And so, we can't cheat our kids out of an education, but we have to expect some out of them, and then we have to give them a safe environment that they can prosper under.
Let's key in on facilities for a minute.
Sure.
The coaches, city school coaches, have been threatening to strike because of pay and what they call poor facilities. So that's another area you got to look at there in education.
Well, frankly, I don't blame them. They, the system has been deteriorating for so long. Frankly, a bond issue was mentioned earlier in the year, and it was tossed around like a political football. I'm a little disappointed we're not going to the polls, to vote for a mayor and a bond issue. But no, that was not thought to be wise at this time. Well, that's going to put us another 6 months to a year behind the 8 ball on these facilities. And so, the coaches should be out working with the kids. Frankly, I'd like to see more sports involved in the schools to keep the kids, give them a sense of teamwork, teammates, get them off the street, so to speak. So I'd like to see more of that.
Very briefly, you brought up Max, and that has become an important issue in this campaign.
Yes, it has.
Your thoughts on the city helping bail out the system?
Well, the system has gotten so bad at a time that we need to be expanding the service. With the industrial parks going on the outskirts of town, frankly, we need to be adding bus service, and here we are cutting it in half. I want to do away with the occupational tax, and because it's unfair, it doesn't even tax but about half the people of Birmingham. It taxes the people who work in Birmingham. I think that it doesn't do any good to have a tax such as that, but I would support, after studying with people that know, and I'm not suggesting that I know, I would suggest a small tax of some kind that would fund Max, that would fund the zoo, that would look at the museums, that would even throw some into the symphony. Those areas of amenities that the city of Birmingham basically pays for now, but the whole region uses. So I think we've got to have a regionalized approach to some of these problems.
Interesting. Now, as we wrap up here very quickly, what final thought would you like to leave with the voters as we head into the final stretch?
Yes, I'm unknown, but our platform is very common sense. It's something that you can embrace. It is something that, if you hear it, you'll like it. So give us a chance. We got a week before the election now. Look in your mailbox next week. You'll have a surprise from me. So,
A surprise.
Please read it.
We'll certainly do that. Well, we wish you the best of luck in the remaining days before the election.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for being with us, Mr. Perry Grant, candidate for the mayor of City of Birmingham. Next up in our special Mayor's Candidates Forum today, incumbent Birmingham Mayor Richard Arrington. Mayor, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you. It's good to be with you.
You're seeking yet another term. You've received a lot of praise, had a lot of accomplishments over your term. What brings you back to the trough for more, so to speak?
Well, I like being mayor. I think we have accomplished a lot during the time that I have been the mayor in the city of Birmingham. I believe that they can squeeze 4 more good years out of me. This city can. And that I'm the one with the experience, the know-how to address some urgent problems that continue to confront this city.
Most everybody in Birmingham knows you, but for those that don't, kind of introduce yourself. Tell us about your family and your background a little bit.
Yeah, well, I'm a native Alabamian, born on a farm in the Black Belt, and my dad came here to work in the steel mills, like many families that came to this valley. And so I came here with my family when I was about 4 years old, grew up out in the Fairfield area, attended Miles College, and studied biology and chemistry, and from there took a master's degree at the University of Detroit and a PhD degree in zoology and biochemistry at the University of Oklahoma. I've been a National Science Research Fellow. I've taught in higher education, worked in administration. So I come out of that kind of a background of a family of very modest means, and my brother's also a doctorate in physiology, so we sort of oriented towards the sciences.
Right. Now, so much to cover in all the years that you've been mayor, but the city has seen such a dramatic turn for the better. So much to crow about. Are you happy with what you've been able to do?
Indeed, I am. I do think that we have accomplished a lot in this city, working together. The progress has been significant. We've done it at what's been a time of change and transition for this city, of some very tough competition from suburban growth, and we've done well. I came into the office at the time when the economy was in the pits here. The industrial economy was going to the dogs, so to speak. The economy today is changed. It's a dramatic change. It's an economy today that's driven by biomedical research, engineering, and things of that sort, telecommunications. It is the most diversified economy in the Southeast. But what I'm also especially pleased about when we look at the economy is that today in Birmingham, we have more jobs within the city limits of Birmingham than we've had at any other time in its 125-year history. And when you understand that we've been able to do that while we compete with suburban sprawl, it's a significant accomplishment for the people of this valley. And when we can turn around and point out there are 167,000 jobs in Birmingham today, we never had that many jobs. We tripled the tax base. In 1980, we had a budget of $70 million. Today, that operating budget is $216 million. Wow. The other budget, the capital budget, is $65 million. That's significant growth. And to be able to sit here and say, well, to ask the question, which city or county government in Alabama has the strongest tax base? Clearly, the answer is Birmingham, and I'm proud of that.
Indeed, and indeed you should be. Birmingham has become a major player in the Southeast, and that's due, according to many, in large part to your leadership. We're right up there with Atlanta and other major cities in the Southeast now.
Well, we have done well. We've provided the best leadership that we can provide. It takes a sense of community to move a city along. It takes a sense of community to move a metropolitan area along. I think while we have done well in this metropolitan area, the more we can build that sense of community, that awareness that we are not really 30-some separate entities, but we are, in one sense, really one community, and we've got to do some things together. Once we can build that, we're going to be right up there with the cities like Charlotte, and with Nashville. No, those are cities with metropolitan governments, and we're going to catch up with Atlanta and so forth. But if there has been any one drawback in terms of a metropolitan government, it's been just the lack of cooperation. We have a lot of duplication.
Okay, what issues are important in this campaign, do you think? A lot of the people who have been challenging you, who we've interviewed so far, have said crime is foremost in their mind. I know that must be on your agenda as well.
Yeah, surely crime is important. The truth is I have not run a campaign for mayor, and I've run 4 where crime wasn't an issue in every one.
Yeah.
But surely it is an issue in this campaign because of the increase in crime that we have in this city as well as in this country. But we're focusing in this campaign on this city. And that is the issue of how do we turn this matter of crime around. You know, we have taken an approach to fighting crime that differs, that is not as dramatic as people would like.
Mm-hmm.
We have on one hand increased officers. We have, for example, in the public housing, cut crime by 19% by putting full-time officers in 8 of our 13 public housing units. It proves that that kind of approach will cut crime there. So we will have to expand it to all of the housing project units. We put in place a special project eradication, we call it, for a neighborhood. We've done it in 3 neighborhoods, and we got about a 15% decrease in crime in Druid Hills and over in Inslee and one other neighborhood. Again, it proves that it will work. We have got to move it to a broader area. But while we have been doing that with police officers, we have at the same time been looking at some of the causes of the rise in crime. And we note that youth violence is one area. And so we have developed a number of youth programs. Today we have a large youth department that is almost a year old. And we fund 15 to 17 other youth programs ranging from peeing down to smaller programs. So we're trying to provide greater opportunities and jobs for young people in the city, hoping that that's going to help us in the fight for crime. And then there is the other cause of rising crime has been domestic violence. And we have put in place a full-time domestic violence counseling program. And I'm hoping that all of these put together will help us to turn crime around in this city in the next year or so in a rather dramatic fashion.
Very quickly, let me get your take on what some voters have brought up in the field, and that's what's perceived as disharmony at City Hall.
Well, I don't know. There's a lot of debate at City Hall. The merits of some of it, I guess, is questionable, but there are different philosophical positions at City Hall, probably 2 or 3. You know, we have one councilman member, Councilman Blake. He's sort of at one end of the spectrum in terms of his philosophy about government. It's more of a libertarian philosophy, and he comes out of the Libertarian Party. And then we have, of course, 5 or 6 of the council members come out of the same kinds of backgrounds, largely African-American backgrounds, African-American communities, and know about the needs of the African-American community, and they're sort of attuned to that. And then we have a couple of council members who, well, one who represents clearly a middle-class area, like same as Jimmy does, but I would say Byron Davis does. This is a middle-class, predominantly white area. That's the largest, is the eastern area. And then Pat represents a district that's in transition. It's about almost 50-50 black and white. And these things influence how people see things and how they vote on them. But that's not a lot of polarization. I guess the other issue I want to mention quickly is schools and education, and we are working on that. I do like to remind people that since '85, we built 6 new elementary schools and middle schools in the city of Birmingham. They forget about that. We've done some $38 million worth of new construction. We've done $25 million in renovation. We air condition all of the classrooms. Now we're turning our attention to how we improve some 10 high schools and their facilities. And I think we are comparable, we're capable of doing that. Again, it's going to take a coming together of all of the different factions that are interested in education so that early next year we can provide some resources for improving educational facilities.
Certainly. As we wrap up now, what thought would you like to leave with voters in these last days before they go to the polls? Why should Richard Arrington go back in for 4 more years?
I think I would like to ask voters just to look even semi-objectively at what we have accomplished and compare Birmingham to where it is today and where it was when I came in, and compare it today with other cities, even right here in this area. And I think they will agree to me that the progress here in this 15-year period has been greater than it has been at any other 15-year period in its history. If they believe that, and they believe that it was due in part to my leadership, I hope they'll go out and support me.
Mayor Richard Arrington, we wish you much success in the campaign, and We'll talk to you again on Election Day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being with us. Our next candidate in our special mayoral candidates forum today is Mr. Lawrence Carter. We want to thank him for being with us today. Mr. Carter, let's begin by letting you sort of introduce yourself to our listeners. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Good morning, Birmingham. I've been here at the same time, Arrington. I'm 60 years old, same age. I grew up with him when he was out there in Fairfield. Joe Dixon and Larry Langford, all of us come up together when Willie Mays and all of us went to high school out there. And I want to see this place change. Linda Coleman, U.W. Clemens, William Bell, they know what kind of man I am. And Arrington has made nothing but mistakes after mistakes that have cost our community. I don't know if the man can really think clearly because somebody's advising him, and I believe it's John Calipotis. Because every idea he and Larry Langford comes up with seem to come up with a train and a Ferris wheel. And it sounds like John Calipotis is their advisor. And everybody knows John Calipotis is crazy.
Okay, you are a retired school teacher, I believe, so education obviously would be very important to you in this election.
Very much so. I finished Alabama State, Westfield High School, and went to several other schools, taught at Tuskegee Institute, biology, chemistry, physics, mathematics. I've been an administrator, and I worked in the city of Columbus, Georgia with Arthur McClung. I'm an Alpha Phi Alpha, and I believe in changing this town. Richard Arrington is my fraternity brother, but some way he has surrounded himself with bad elements, and he has lost his mind. He can't think. He has never come up with a new idea since he has been there. Our airport is flooding. That's the same airport that Chris Woods and Marty Peters built and stole the money. And Richard Arrington knew about they were stealing that money. They gave it to him. He went to jail, but Donald Watkins got him out, and he got the money. And John Harbert built the Civil Rights Museum to keep him out of jail. That's why he couldn't find the papers that Dick couldn't take down to the federal courthouse. And Donald Watkins got Harbert to build a Harbert Center for the same money. $40 million is what they spent for the Civil Rights Museum. Just like Tommy Wren said, in the Civil Rights Movement, when Martin Luther King came here, Abraham Woods, and all these preachers, they ran out on Martin and got Richard Arrington, who is scared of a fly. And we don't need no Sunday school teacher for no superintendent of police, for no superintendent of schools, Cleveland Hammonds, and Chief Johnny Johnson. They don't need to be walking around telling people what the parents need to do. The parents are not trained professionals. The community are not trained policemen. Policemen should patrol the streets every hour on the hour and log back in, and if a crime go on, the police should find it, not the people. You got to go down and sign at 6th Avenue, and then he going to bring the criminal in and say, is this the one that did it? Then when they hurt you, the police say, well, we can't keep him off the street. If Johnny Johnson don't start doing his job the day I walk in, if Cleveland Hammonds isn't doing his job, Max and Phil Gary, bring the fare boxes to the courthouse. We'll count the money. If you need any after we add up what we got and you haven't stole, you've been stealing money out there. Phil Gary got lawsuits where he made bad judgment on his personnel. This is why he owed $2 million, because he got judgments to pay before the 1st of October. That's why he made a fool out of Roosevelt Bell and told him they got to have the money for September 11th. Richard Arrington didn't have guts enough to say, no, we're not going. They are blackmailing Richard Arrington. Richard Arrington is losing his mind. He's acting like he can't even think about what pair of shoes to put on. And somebody is advising him. They didn't turn in all the campaign money. They told Birmingham News they had over $800,000. They reported in the 45-day report, the campaign financial report, that they had $250. And I have already filed with the Ethics Commission and the Attorney General to put them in jail because they are not lying about the money that they're taking up. And if he doesn't account for every dime he collected in this campaign, I have asked the Attorney General to get the district attorney to pick him up the day after the election. And Jesse Lewis is stealing the money from Richard Arrington, and Richard Arrington needs to start being a man and stop sidewinding, letting our children die in the street. I'm with Ms. McCain, Ron Jackson. If y'all support me for mayor, I'm old enough, I need the job. I can do the job and everything down there. I'm a man enough to whoop everybody down there with the police if I had to call the National Guard in and turn the schools over to the state. I'm going to ask Ms. Ethel Hall, because Cleveland Hammonds is not doing his job. I'm going to padlock Cleveland Hammonds' office and block his parking space. Me and Ron Jackson and Ms. McClain, we're going to march on the school board and lock Cleveland Hammonds out if he's not gone by October 10th.
So do you think there's an atmosphere for change? You think folks are ready for new leadership at City Hall?
Listen, there's an atmosphere for change. There's been an atmosphere for change in Birmingham since Mayor Arrington got elected. but he was too soft and crooked to hire real people. When he went to New York and got Chief Dodge, brought that crook in here, the FOP wouldn't work with the black policeman. Mayor Arrington never mentions the black policeman league, the Guardian. The FOP is running the police department now, and they won't let Chief Johnson and Fisher and Stover do anything right. Abraham Woods, he has this boy Chris, who was shot up with cocaine and steroids at Auburn University. Now the boy is losing his mind. Chris is not capable of even running his own business. Emory Anthony is too weak to do anything about education because he doesn't understand education. Anytime a man go to a man and fire him, he working for and run for his job, and he don't know how to. Emory Anthony broke. Emory Anthony broke. Man, Arrington fired him so he wouldn't be able to run, but he didn't know I was going to run. Richard Arrington I know everything about running this city because I have ran a city, and nobody tells me what to do. I can do anything I need to do with the support of the governor, National Guard, and the FBI. And if anybody steals from me, they go into jail.
Mentioned that you have run a city before. Do you have past political experience?
Yes, I ran for county commissioner. Then I got, and then I ran for city council against Andrews Hinton. Now, Andrews Hinton is a problem, too, because she's been taking money from Medicare and Medicaid with Louis Dale, with that boy Kevin Lofton and Barbara Lofton that they just put in jail for stealing in Washington, D.C. Why do we keep going out of town getting all these crooked con men, Richard Arrington? Like the judge told you, Judge Aker, you don't hang out with nothing but con men. We'll stop crime. We get rid of Richard Arrington. Now, as far as education goes, I'm going to build 5 new high schools, starting with the first $200 million budget. I'm going to build 5 brand new high-tech, vocational, computerized, from the governor's office, certified by the State Board of Education. Cleveland Hamilton won't spend a dime. 5 brand new high schools costing $20 to $30 million, and put $1 million on each elementary school for 4 years, from kindergarten to 9th grade. And I bet you in 4 years we had the best school system. I move all the white people back in town. I'm the white folks candidate. I cut out occupation tax. I cut out all no smoking. Only people that own the premises can smoke. It's a shame to ride downtown, town riding down, people got to stand outside and smoke. If they can smoke if they want to, people who can't stand smoking, find them somewhere else to stay. Because in Birmingham, people ought to be able to do what they want to do. No minority should control this city. I cut out occupational tax. I give people enough incentive to move businesses back. We won't need no occupational tax. I put 5 express buses from 280 Park and Ride. We don't need no train. We don't need no intermodal transit. Run them from Mercedes, 5 brand new Greyhound type buses, luxury buses. I run them in the morning and evening. Park and Ride from Hoover and from I'm gonna put 10 going to Mercedes, because I make Mercedes houses. We don't need to give Mercedes no $5 million. Mercedes can buy this whole state. I don't know why Governor Guy Hunt got tricked and Folsom went and gave the man the money, gave Mercedes. Everybody tell you in Germany, Mercedes was closing the plant down in Brazil. They got enough money to buy Alabama, and they were damn fools for getting Mercedes a dime. They were gonna build that plant anyhow. Those Germans are not crazy.
We're running out of time, but let me ask you briefly, as we wrap up here, is there any one thought, any one central theme you'd like to leave in voters' minds as we get ready to go to the poll?
Voters, God sent me for this election. I'm the only man old enough, strong enough. Emory Anthony is too weak. Chris Woods, he's not mentally stable, and something's wrong with Emory Anthony because he can't see, he can't win an election against me and Richard Arrington. But I will build this city. In 5 years, you will have your city. I like white folks. I work with them. My granddad and them worked with them at U.S. Steel. And we need to build our industry. I'll build a Dome Stadium with John Rogers, the state legislators. I work with the county commission, Mary Buckaloo. They got to work with me. Jeff German and them owe $1 million, him and William Bell, for investing in the turf club with Hall Thompson, daughter, Judy Thompson. She stole that money. Ask Larry Lambert what's going to happen with anything. Nobody needs to speculate on taxpayers' money. If it's not your money, don't bet it's going to go.
Mr. Carter, thank you very much. We wish you much success in the campaign, and thank you very much for being with us today. You're listening to a special 1-hour edition of Perspective this week, and we're focusing on the Birmingham mayoral election, which is coming up on Tuesday, October the 10th. 7 people vying for the office of mayor of the city of Birmingham, and we're meeting them today. Next up is Mr. Tim Mailhot. Tim, welcome to our studios.
Welcome. Glad to be here.
Tell us a little about yourself personally. Introduce Tim Mailhot to us.
Well, I was born and raised in Washington State in Olympia. after that, after getting out of high school, went to college for a little bit, got a draft number, joined the service, was in the Air Force for 4 years, traveled around the U.S. to the Philippines, came back, started working for for a living, and in time ran into some people that were active in politics, not the Democrats or Republicans, but active in the socialist and politics and the struggles that were going on of people in the country at that time. And now I've been here in Birmingham for the past 3 years. I've been working in a number of different industries, active in a couple different unions, from the steel workers to the United Mine Workers, and currently laid off and working as a welder.
So is this your first foray into politics, or have you tried before?
This is the first time I've run in any election campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
But like I say, I've been active in a number of political and social struggles, from defending abortion clinics from being shut down, being out on the picket line. I think I've been probably tear gassed at every union picket line in Alabama in the last 3 years, from
Wow.
National Standard, not National Standard, but Trinity to the rubber workers plant up in Huntsville.
Anything in particular that brought you into the mayor's race? Is there any one thing that made you think, hey, I need to run, I need to get a message out?
Well, the Socialist Workers Party has been running candidates in elections for the past 45 years, and we generally take it as an important thing to get it out into these election campaigns and explain, put forward a working class view of what's going on in politics. That our perspective is that the Republicans and the Democrats represent the interests of the wealthy in this country, and they don't really take up and address the problems that working people face or present solutions to the problems of working people. And so that's one of the important things that we're doing with this campaign, is bringing the politics of the working class out in the discussions in this campaign.
Along those same lines, the issues in this campaign, a lot of your colleagues who are also seeking this office have been here to say that crime and education and economic growth are all top concerns for them. Do you share their concerns, or is there something bigger, more overriding, do you think, in this campaign?
Well, those questions are symptomatic of some, a bigger and deeper problem in the society. There's no way you can take on the problem of crime or unemployment actually within the framework of the whole capitalist economic system, which is really based on the enrichment of the tiny minority that owns the wealth of this country, that owns the factories and the mines and the mills and the banks and so forth. They're not interested in solving the problem of unemployment, because they like having a certain level of unemployment, because it keeps workers competing for jobs. And as long as that continues, they can continue cutting wages down to find the lowest bidder on jobs. But it's the bigger problem that we face is a deepening economic and social crisis, because right now the whole capitalist system worldwide is in a crisis, from the increasing competition between the various companies in Japan or Germany, France, England, whatever. We're all fighting. They're all fighting for the same markets, for the same access to raw materials, and that tightening competition is leading to cuts in wages and social benefits, as they all try and keep up their profit margins while trying to undersell each other. And that's one of the things that's driving the economic crisis. But there's a whole social crisis that's based on how the whole capitalist economic system functions, where it's really based on a very dog-eat-dog method of operation. The way you get ahead is by stepping on top of your competitors and crushing them whatever way. And we see that by how this government functions in relation to other countries. Anytime they get in a jam with another country, they don't like what they're doing, they threaten war or cut off trade or end aid to them. It's threats and so forth, and it only gets reflected in how people within the society also relate to each other. They see what succeeds for the U.S. government, what succeeds in industry is that thinking of yourself within an individual. And we think that that kind of basis for this society has to be ended. And we think that Cuba is a good example of something different. And this is something I'm sure other candidates don't talk about. They like to talk about Birmingham and that, but we think that Cuba presents a little bit different example of what they've been able to do over 36 years of trying to build a socialist society, a society that's based on solidarity among the people there. That people are brought up there to think of what they can do to help others who are worse off than themselves, how they can help people in other countries, how they can help, their neighbors, and not think of what can I do to enrich myself. It's hard for us here in this country to see that and understand it because, number one, because the U.S. prevents people from the United States from traveling to Cuba. They've got laws that make it very difficult to legally do it, which I just want to, we'll, I guess, put a plug in here for one thing. On Tuesday, or Monday, October 2nd, there's going to be an eyewitness report back from a young woman who went to Cuba in August at Lava's restaurant on 4th Avenue North. But she'll be giving a report on what she saw. And I think people that are interested in this discussion of what's going on in Cuba, why everybody knows Cuba's in a big economic crisis too right now. And then this is very true, but do they have the same kind of problem with crimes and deteriorating schools? And no, they're dealing with it as a society, how to deal with this economic crisis and how to help each other out through it. And it's a very different thing from what goes on in this country.
I think a lot of those same principles would work in solving some of Birmingham's own problems right here?
The idea is, that's, if I was elected, say, I don't present myself as someone that has the solutions to the problems in Birmingham or that I can solve somebody's problems by myself. But I would use the office as an organizing point for people that do want to fight back and advance their interest. And it's going to be through those struggles and learning how to fight in our own interest and not look towards the Democrats or Republicans or other politicians, but how we can fight for our own interest, that we'll begin learning and seeing that we are capable of organizing ourselves and doing that. And in time, that we're actually capable of organizing all of society without the need for, the huge government bureaucracy and all, and we can run these factories. The fact is that, if every owner of every corporation went out on strike and decided, well, I'm not going to run my company today, and all the workers went to work, the company would still run. They'd still make what they make and things. So I think that's what that's one way to look at why I'm running, why this is an important campaign.
As we wind down, any one thought that you'd like to leave to the voters in the last days before the election? Is any one central message you'd like to get across, if nothing else?
One central message. Well, I would like to say that people that are interested in this perspective and interested in trying to, discussing out some ideas and beginning to fight in a direction of organizing in the interest of our class of workers and farmers and youth should vote for me, number one, as a representation of their views on that. But they should give our campaign headquarters a call and talk about what they can do to help out. Our phone number there is 323 3079. I'm sorry, 323-3079. We'll be glad to talk to people and plug them into how they can help out with us.
Best of luck to you. The election coming up. We encourage everyone to go out and cast their ballots and to make a difference. It's a pleasure to meet you as well.
All right. Thank you very much.
Tim Mailhot, candidate for mayor of the city of Birmingham. Thank you for being with us today. And as our special mayoral candidates forum continues today, we now welcome to the microphone Mr. Emory Anthony. Mr. Anthony, thanks for being with us.
I'm glad to be here with you and talk to the citizens of Birmingham and let them know my view and my vision for the city of Birmingham.
It's our pleasure to have you. You ran in the last election. You're back this time. What brings you back into the political arena, first of all, I guess?
Well, Birmingham still have a number of things to address, some of the concerns here in Birmingham. You look around, education is a concern with the citizens in Birmingham. Crime is certainly a concern. Our bus system is still a concern with the city of Birmingham and trying to get citizens to and from work. Lack of leadership from the area of addressing waste as far as the taxpayers' dollars being spent on things that we believe it should not be spent on. So we're back to offer the citizens of Birmingham a positive alternative, and I call it a positive change for the city of Birmingham.
During the last election, you seriously stirred things up, opened some eyes, according to a lot of the pundits. You feel you're doing that again this time?
Well, I think this time we're doing more than opening eyes. I think last time was my first time in a political race for mayor of the city of Birmingham. I was a newcomer. I was able to get 33% of the voting population, which is very good. Now it's time for us to win this election, and we feel very good about it.
Let's talk about you personally. A lot of people know you, but some don't. Tell us who Emery Anthony is.
Well, I'm a product of the Birmingham public school system. I finished from Ramsey High School. I left Ramsey and attended Alabama A&M University in Huntsville, where I met my wife. I came back to Birmingham. I began to work at Stockham Valves and Fittings. And while I was at Stockham, I decided to go to law school at night. I attended Miles College School of Law, received a Juris Doctorate degree in law, and began to prosecute with the Jefferson County District Attorney's Office. And I did that for about 3.5 years, prosecuting cases from youth gangs to dealing with violent crimes such as murders, robbers, and rapists. During that particular point in time, I was enjoying myself prosecuting, and I got a call from some supporters, and they asked me whether or not I would consider sitting as a municipal judge. And I was selected after several other people were turned down, and I did that for 12 years. And, of course, during that particular time of 12 years, I've been involved in civic activities throughout the city of Birmingham.
It's no secret, or I say it's no secret, that you have been severely at odds with City Hall over certain issues.
Sure.
Do you feel that there's a large contingent of folks out there like you?
Well, I think what the people of Birmingham is finally seeing is that some of the issues that are touching the community right now are issues that was there in 1991, and I talked about them. I came before the citizens and I said that education was a concern and we needed to address the issue then. I talked about crime in 1991, of some of the things that I wanted to do for the city of Birmingham to mitigate the crime level going up. I talked about one of the biggest things that has happened right now, transportation. I said that we needed to get other municipalities to participate, and the only way you could do that, we needed new leadership that the other municipalities feel that they can trust and be a part of. So some of the issues that are now really touching the people of Birmingham, I talked about them in 1991.
Do you think that since then, any of these concerns have been addressed properly?
No, because we're still talking about them right now as we run for mayor of the city of Birmingham. Education is certainly a major issue in Birmingham. I think just a couple of days ago, the newspaper put out the data on the test scores from Birmingham, and Birmingham was at the bottom. The facilities in Birmingham, I went to a PTA meeting at Phillips High School, and the bathroom is not in a condition for the young ladies to use. We still are dealing with some problems that Birmingham could have addressed 3.5 years ago with the correct leadership that is willing to go out and take the leadership and talk to the superintendent and the board and say, we have to have a plan how we're going to upgrade our test scores. How can we give a quality education to our young children? How can we make sure that they're in a safe environment and in the facility that is not raining in, and that they can go and get a quality education? We're not having that leadership. We're having a leader that is saying that education is not the concern of the mayor. It's not my job. Well, you don't hear that from Hoover. You don't hear that from Vestavia. The mayors of those cities are saying that education is very important to our city, and to any city that wants to grow, want to bring businesses into their city, they have to have a good educational program. So I'm committed to taking the leadership and sitting down with the superintendent and letting him know that this is a top priority from my administration.
Because these areas of concern exist, what's gone wrong? Is it in leadership? Is it in organization or prioritization, commitments? Where do you think we've gone wrong?
I think all of the above. They have not been a commitment to education. Anytime the present administration for the last 3.5 years have sent a budget over cutting education, it's saying that education is not a top priority. At the same vein, you increase your productivity in putting trees in downtown Birmingham. Well, you're not prioritizing, as you said. We have to give the perception and the reality that education is a top priority in the Birmingham school system. You can't say education is a top priority when you're not doing the example by saying any reserves that we have left over from our budget is going to go to education to upgrade the quality education in Birmingham. And that's the type of leadership that I want to take.
Let's go back to crime for a minute. That's been something that all of the candidates have brought up today.
Right.
Obviously, we have a serious problem here in Birmingham.
Right.
Any ideas?
Right, I have a plan. One of the biggest upswings we have seen is in juvenile crime. I've had the opportunity to talk to Ms. McCain, Carmen McCain, and she's done 2 Mothers Against Violence debate and forums for the candidates. The present administration didn't show up to either one of them. What message is that sending to parents that, you know, I'm too busy to be at a forum for the candidates who's running for mayor to talk to the Mothers Against Violence? One of the things that I've talked about, and I did this 3.5 years ago, I went before the council and said, if the only way we're going to change some of the killings in Birmingham of our juveniles and some of the crime that's being committed, we have to get more parents accountable. I went before the council and I presented a parent responsibility ordinance where we talked about holding parents accountable for their young children who are walking the streets at night without supervision. At that time, I presented it to the mayor and the council, and they didn't accept that. Now they're trying to come up with something similar with a curfew. Well, if they had have done their homework 3.5 years ago, we would not be trying to rush to do this. I'm going to push for that ordinance to go into effect because I think parents need to be held accountable. Until we get parents educated enough to let them know that they have a responsibility beyond just sending their children out on the streets, we're not going to make a difference. I talk about a youth government program where in the high schools, I want to elect a mayor and a council and allow the young people to have a training in what the political process is all about, what their responsibilities are as citizens, and also for them to be a voice to my office as mayor. You know, so many times we talk to young people, but we're not listening to what they say. We don't know what things that they deal with each and every day in the school system that they can assist us in making changes. We don't know what they deal with on the streets that they can assist us in making changes. I think if you have a mayor council form of government in the high schools, it will address that concern. I want to get a tax credit to the business community who are willing to hire our high school students, not only in the summer months, but year-round. I am finding out that young people want to work. They don't want to sell drugs and they don't want to commit crimes. We have to create jobs, and I think we have to be very creative. A tax credit will be given to the business community who will hire a high school student that is going to one of the Birmingham school system. So we're trying to look at other alternatives to deal with this thing. And of course, we're going to require a chief of police to bring a crime plan to me, the mayor of the city of Birmingham. How are we going to address mitigating crime in different areas and take that to the people?
Finally, and very briefly, do you think that there's an atmosphere for change now? Right?
Oh, there, very much so. Because of the transit system and the political games that have been played with the transit system, people are hurt. You know, for 2.5 weeks, people had to walk 5 and 7 blocks in order to catch a bus. And one bus will be crowded with 45 and 50 and 60 people on there. And for the present administration to come up and say, well, we're going to give you $1 million and some and get it full swing a week and a half before the election is a political pawn, and I think the people will see that.
Well, Emory Anthony, we wish you much success in the days remaining up to the election, and we'll be talking to you on your election day, one way or the other.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being with us today, Mr. Emory Anthony, candidate for the mayor of City of Birmingham. And finally, on our special Mayor's Candidates Forum today, we welcome to the microphone Chris Woods. Chris, thanks for being with us today.
Good morning, Don. How are you?
Fine. Thank you very much. Thank you for being with us today. First up, as we have with all of the other folks who've been on the show today, introduce Chris Woods to us.
Well, my name is Chris Woods, as so stated. I am a native of Birmingham. I'm a graduate of Toggle Elementary School and went to Parker High School. Have a unique background. It is I was raised with my 12 brothers and sisters. I have 6 brothers and I have 6 sisters. We were all athletic inclined, and all 6 brothers and I I were blessed with good enough talent to go to college on athletic scholarships. 5 of my 6 brothers now are Baptist pastors, and 2 of my 6 sisters married Baptist pastors.
Wow, what a tradition.
So if anybody tells you that Chris Woods doesn't have any base of support within the black community, you tell them that they don't know what they're talking about. But I consider my background and the good, strong, moral, spiritual principles that were embedded in me earlier my greatest and utmost prized possession.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about your political aspirations. Is this your first foray into politics?
Yes, it is. It is my first time to run for public office, and my love for Birmingham, my love for my community, my love for the people of this city has just, the conviction within my heart has risen to a level where I just can't stand on the sidelines and allow our leadership to take it down a path that's going to make our city, that's going to move us away from ever being an all-American city that we deserve to have here in Birmingham.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that aside, a lot of different things, personal or professional or what have you, will draw a candidate into a particular race. It's most interesting to consider what that thing is if it's your first foray into politics. Was there any one pulling factor for you?
Yes, it is. It's the crime and the condition of our community, and how crime is the result of deterioration and lack of growth and development. Crime affects education. Crime affects economic development, and the moral crisis in which our city faces concerning leadership is the core in solving all our problems.
Mm-hmm. Every candidate who has been with us today has touched on crime. That seems to be the foremost issue in Birmingham right now, especially with the very rising rate, the alarming rise in juvenile crime. Any ideas?
Well, absolutely. My platform, and let me say this, the Fraternal Order Police, the local large, has looked into all the candidates' crime packages and have chosen to endorse our candidacy because of the immediate action we have committed to take once being sworn in. We first of all have to make the profession of a law enforcement officer attractive. We here in one of the deadliest cities in America have a great revenue base in which the public safety department can be funded, yet it is not a priority. So we must make fighting crime our top priority. What I'll do in the opening legislature session in February, I will go to Montgomery with three bills. One of the bills would be to induce stiffer punishment on criminals. We need to bring back old-fashioned tactics that if you do something, you pay for it. The crime community understands that, hey, they won't be held accountable if they continue to repeat such senseless murders as we see that's reoccurring over and over within our community. And inducing such stiffer punishments, if you continue to repeat and perform senseless murders, then I believe in capital punishment. I also believe when an individual commits such an act, a speedy trial bill. So I want to change the law concerning the duration and the time frame you can wait before you go to trial. I don't feel it should take 2 and 3 and 4 years like some cases have taken place here in our area, and where individuals can be loose among the public. I want to hold them without a bond. At the same time, speed the trial up. We've did a lot of talking. We've did a lot of shouting of accolades. It's time for action, and I'm going to implement immediate action to make a difference, because I believe this is the only way we can get individuals' attention. That, hey, if you do something, you're going to pay for it. We just witnessed another senseless murder over in the West End area, where a young man just died, innocent bystander, upstanding young promising individual who was minding his own business. And we have had every type of sign of indication that, hey, if we don't get a handle on this, something is going to result in a tragic, which it did. Just a week ago, There were about a dozen police cars at that very same high school because of a gang initiation. We're going to outlaw gangs in Birmingham. We're going to take a proactive approach to try to prevent these murders from reoccurring. We are at record pace, and my message to the people, the citizens of this community, don't wait until it comes to your house, until you become outraged. Don't wait until it comes within your circle of influence that you want to get vocal. Get vocal now. It's like spilling milk. If you don't stop it from running down the whole table with a cloth, it'll spread. And crime is the same way. No one is distinct from it. I mean, no one is where, heck, it can't affect them. This is the most important issue and will be demonstrated within the Woods administration.
Very briefly, you've also campaigned on a platform of ending corruption at City Hall. Briefly summarize for us.
Well, it's been no secret, and about my experiences and my dealings as a businessman to do business with the city of Birmingham. I tell my story how I left Birmingham in 1980, and that was a year that I never forget because some great things had taken place in my life. Number one, after being a young man at the age of 10, setting a goal to attend Auburn University on a football scholarship, that became a reality. And what also became a reality was the swearing in of our current mayor, how people from both black and white came together in a unified effort with a unified focus to say, hey, it's time to put aside and lay aside and bury the old demagoguery tactics of the past that has embarrassed our community from a national level and so on. And let's move forward with a new vision, with the new ideas, with a new direction, with a new leader. And they elected, our current mayor to be the first black city's leader. And that meant a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That meant a lot for the entire community, both black and white, to come together and say, hey, we put our confidence, we put our trust, we're going to put our support to really work with this current lead, with this leader, with this individual, to make Birmingham to be an all-American city. And coming back home after retiring from a professional football career in 1989, I came back with the same high expectations in which I left with. Birmingham to be moving forward in areas that matters the most, safe streets, better schools, the enhancement of economic development for any man or woman. But I learned very soon that things were not as they appeared. I learned in order to do business with the city of Birmingham, certain under-the-table practices were demanded as well as expected. I personally voiced my opinion at that time. I informed individuals who should have been informed from my perspective and was going to walk away from it. But when I saw that same type of corrupt mentality when it came to the decision-making process, not only in business but in areas of providing the funding that's necessary for public safety, the funding that's necessary to give our children the quality education they deserve, then I just couldn't walk away from those great principles that this city had worked for and fought for, what your family and my family had came together to achieve and to accomplish. The conviction of my heart just wouldn't let me go away. So that's how I've gotten to where I am today. And I want to give us a clean, honest government that we can all be proud of and be a leader, a representative for all the people. Race baiting will have no place in the Woods administration because as mayor, I won't put myself in a position where everybody have to come to see me to get the contracts. I think the individuals who are appointed to those department heads should have the confidence of any mayor who appoint them to do their job. And I won't do that. I won't have myself in a position and use it race baiting, where I go to any extent to divide this community, such as walking down the street with change around my neck to draw national attention to myself and could care less about the city, the people of this community. And that's what we don't need, and that's what I can assure the people of Birmingham. That's what the Woods administration has to offer. It's a vision that's going to take Birmingham back to that level of being the magic city, the all-American city. And we're going to have Birmingham, we're going to make Birmingham a model, an example for the rest of the country to see. We're going to send a message. This is the new Birmingham.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Chris Woods, candidate for the mayor of City of Birmingham, thank you for being with us today. And that does it for this special 1-hour edition of Perspective. Thank you for joining us today. And don't forget to go out and cast your ballot for mayor of the City of Birmingham this Tuesday, October the 10th.